This is Dawn, by the way. I think for me, a lot of times what's hard for me to understand about this method was the saving, because people are chasing, they know that if I invest in the stock market, I'm going to potentially get a return. And so it's hard for them to understand this money that's kind of hidden behind their interest rates and their mortgages. So for example, let's say you were paying $600 in interest on your house, and then we'll talk about the Hawaii one, but $600 in interest a month, you would have to have $100,000. That's assuming that you get a 6% return. You would need to have $100,000 in the market to save $600. So let's think about it that way, just kind of reframing how much money would I have to have in the market in order to save what Dawn is showing you on the interest side of your mortgage. And then the example I had is that I purchased a house in Hawaii. We financed 660, so 660,000. And Dawn, I just kind of thought if you could walk through this one. I'm on my phone, but I know you're going to knock it out the park. So
go ahead.
660 was the fine. That's what we financed at 4%. Mm-hmm. When we sold in June, I believe the payoff was 604. So between 660 payoff at 604, we had paid off $56,000 in principal in 2 years. Mm-hmm. If you don't mind walking through that one, I'll probably try to get my laptop while you're doing it.
Well, listen, you want to do that, Dawn, because that is amazing. We're going to go over a couple of things. So you said you did that in about 2 years.
Yes. We purchased in May of 19 and we could not sell till June. So we avoid capital gain. So yeah, it was right at 2 years.
Wow. That is awesome. See, here's what happened, folks. And besides, Dawn, listen, if you have any other properties in Hawaii and you got a spare room, you know, you got to invite me, right? Me and my wife.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Because see, Dawn has a residence here in Huntsville, Alabama as well, but it's cold right now, Dawn. I need to go to Hawaii.
Actually, I'm in Huntsville right now. Okay. And it is cold.
All right, folks, here's what she's talking about. I've got it right on the screen, Dawn. We have $660,000 mortgage on the screen at 4% interest. The payment on this, just the principal and interest payment on a 30-year mortgage, is $3,150.94. Folks, first of all, let's talk about what she did. When you are paying off a loan, you are adding money to paying off the principal and you're paying interest. So when you're paying the principal down, you're actually creating equity. What do I mean by equity? There's an amount that the house is worth and there's an amount that you owe. The difference is your equity. So if you owe 660 and the house is worth 660, you have no equity. If the house is worth 660 and you pay it down to, what was that, Dawn? You paid it down to what?
Payoff was 604.
604. So you pay it down to 604. See, you've just created $56,000 in equity. Folks, do you understand that? So now here's how this would work normally. To pay it down to 604, okay, 604, normally, I'm scrolling down here, Dawn, pay it down to 604 would normally take 53 months to do it, okay? To pay it down by 604, that's $55,025 paid out, okay? Over 53 months. And it would normally cost $111,973.85 worth of interest just to pay it down by $55,000. Now, most people look at the $55,000 as equity. I want to propose, if we have to pay $111,000 to get that $55,000 equity, do we really have equity, folks? That's my question. We have to start looking at banking a whole new way. Interest is nothing more than rent on your money. So what we need to do is upset the banking's timing so that they can't charge us all of that rent to get the equity. Now, she says she did it in 2 years. Here's what happened. She got $55,000 in about 2 years. So that's about 24 months. So if we're looking at about $50,000 paid out instead of $111,000 paid out to accomplish the same goal. So here's what we're talking about, folks. We are getting an asset. The asset is the equity. And what she just pointed out is you can either pay $111,000 using the bank's program, or you can pay about $50,000 to get the same asset using her program. Folks, which one do you want to do? Give the bank all of that money, or do you want to get the same asset for a lot less interest? Oh my goodness. Listen, Dawn, that's not even a good question. That's a no-brainer. So are we on point so far, Dawn?
Yeah, and the only thing I wanted to add to that is when we closed, we cleared 60. So we actually lived for free.
Wow, wow, wow. So now we're talking about paying down at a much lower interest cost, plus adding in market conditions for an additional $6,000. God have mercy. We got market conditions working for us, and we've got building equity 3 years early, da, 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 and with a much lower interest cost. So now here's what we're talking about, folks. We are actually making real money here because she was able to get that equity at a much lower interest cost. So when she sold the house, she actually made money even when you count the interest paid. Doggone it, that was beautiful. Listen, Dawn, I have been in a room full of real estate agents, and I asked these real estate agents, if you bought a house at $400,000 and 5 years later sold it at $600,000, how much money did you make? Every single one of them said $200,000. None of them considered the interest cost as part of what they had to pay. No one considered that. It's about time, folks, that everybody started to consider interest costs. So now, how would you like to be able, folks, just like she was talking about, live for free by focusing on the interest cost, cutting it out? And in this case, she cut it by about 50% to get the equity out of the house at the sale, and also avoid, one more time, dun, da, 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 capital gains. Oh my goodness. I want to come to your school, Miss Dawn.
Hey, I'm sitting at your feet. You're the GOAT.
But Don has some valuable information that can contribute to the quality of a person's life. And it only costs you a few dollars. It's his book. Why not get that?
I'm going to go through the P.I.L.L method myself with some of my investment properties. So I'm going to link up with Don, and then I'm going to sit down with him, show him my investment portfolio, and see how I can eliminate interest.